What I'm going to show you in today's video is an absolute cheat code when it comes to client acquisition. It's allowed me to scale my agency to $100,000 cash collected in 1 month and scale multiple other agencies. Now, through my course of running my agency and also coaching others one-to-one, I've worked with a lot of different types of businesses. I've worked with agencies, I've worked with recruiters, I've worked with insurance companies, tech companies, coaches, and I'm still yet to see an example of where this does not work, where this does not add top-line revenue to your business. Okay. Now, before I show the exact system, I need you to know this isn't for the ordinary. This isn't for everyone. This is only for the ambitious few that actually want to commit to scaling their business. Because the truth is, growth literally comes from discomfort. You need to get used to being uncomfortable if you actually want to grow your company. Because this means testing new offers, testing new scripts, testing new systems, right? And this is one of those systems today. So this will literally transform the front end of your business. It has done for me and it has done for some of my clients. And it's going to basically take your service from being a demand capture service to a demand generation service. It means we can reach out to pretty much anyone in your audience and actually get them interested in your service, regardless of whether they feel like they need it now or not. Because that's the number one problem with most businesses. They'll only get business from people that feel like they need them right now. But what about those other leads that are missing out on your service and not getting the outcome because they don't know how beneficial it can be to them, right? So what we need to do is create demand for your service. But you might be thinking, Harry, how can we actually create demand? Well, if you understand what someone truly wants, you can pretty much sell them anything. As long as it ties back to their dreams and desires and they see a correlation between your way of doing it and their dreams and desires that you're selling them, okay? So for example, I used to sell cold email services. Now, of course, no one bought from me when I just said, do you want cold email services? Do you want us to send cold emails, right? Or maybe they did, but I was only able to compete on price. They would only go with me if I was the cheapest. So instead of just selling cold email services, I started selling leads and I started selling appointments, which was the end outcome. And to my surprise at the time, a ton of more people started buying, right? Because they're actually interested in the end result. So I realized that focusing on the process was an issue. I needed to focus on the outcome. Because the truth is, the process can actually produce many different outcomes. So if you're only selling your process, the client doesn't actually know what they're going to get. So let me just show it to you, right? Because the reality is you probably have a unique process. Your ego might be tied to this because you've spent so long creating this process. Unfortunately, the truth is no one really cares about your unique process. All they care about is what they get out at the end of it. That's just the truth. And the truth is as well that your unique process can produce different outcomes based off the different inputs. So most people know this. I can run cold email services and based off the type of client I'm working with, I'll get a different output. Whereas if I always sell the output, they know what they're getting every time. Okay, so that's like a paradigm shift that you need to have. Instead of trying to sell your unique process that you've worked really hard on, you've spent hours on, and you think it's better than the market, stop doing that. Because no one cares apart from you. What people care about is the output they get, the end outcome. So this is the only thing they care about, and that's the thing you need to sell. And it sounds easy, but how can we actually do that? I'll break it down for you. But selling the outcome gives your client basically more certainty that you can actually help them, more hope and more excitement to work with you. So there's many benefits. But how do you actually do this, right? To do this, basically you need to ask yourself a chain of questions to figure out what the prospect actually wants, like at a complete fundamental level. So just break it down and break it down even further. You need to ask yourself these series of questions, okay? When I do my service or I do the thing I'm employed to do, right? What happens? Then you need to ask yourself, what does this actually mean for the client? That thing that I've just done, what does that mean for them? And then what does that mean for their business as a whole? And then what does this mean for them personally? So you just got to ask more questions. I've done this, but then this happens. And what does that mean? And then what does that mean? And what does that mean? So in a practical example, say for example, I place salespeople, right? I could say I place a sales manager in my client's company. Great. But what does this actually mean? It means they have more capacity to call leads and make more sales. Great. But what does this actually mean? It means that the sales team output would increase. Okay. What does that mean? It means that more leads and more revenue is generated. We're getting closer now. We're getting closer. This is what people are actually interested in, more leads and more revenue being generated rather than having a sales manager replaced for the most part, okay? Because the person who's interested in having the sales manager replaced is the person who's literally actively looking for it right now. But the person who's interested in generating more leads and revenue is pretty much everyone. So it automatically means that your offer is going to be attractive for more people and you'll make more sales by default that way. Okay, but if you want to go a step further, what does more leads and more revenue generated actually mean for the person we're reaching out to? It means the CEO would feel more fulfilled with output of his team, allowing him to take potentially, say, one more family vacation. Maybe he can step back from managing the salespeople day to day and he can actually enjoy more free time, right? Now, what you can do as we go down this sort of ladder of, questioning and figuring out what it actually means is you can start to create different outreach scripts, different ad hooks, different content angles from this. So if you're only selling sales manager placement, all you can really ask someone is if they'd be interested in having a new sales manager. It goes, that's all you can sort of ask. Whereas if you're trying to sell more capacity to call leads and make sales, then you can see if they'd be interested in increasing their sales team capacity, which is probably a few more people, right? And as you go down this chain, you start to realize you can ask more attractive questions. So then the next one would be, would you be interested in increasing your sales team's output? Once again, a few more people would be interested in this. And ultimately, you get to the bottom one, which would be, would you be interested in generating more revenue whilst working less so you can spend more time either with your kids, with your family, etc., right? And this is obviously the far more attractive offer than this one. Just making this one change alone in your content, in your ads, and in your outreach will make an impact. There's no way it doesn't. I haven't seen it yet where it doesn't make an impact because it's just making it more attractive to the prospect. Okay, and it's actually really simple to do if you just boil it down to the fundamentals of what people actually want. Ultimately, the deeper you go, the more attractive it becomes to the client. You can go through this method of questioning, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper to figure out why people are doing things they're doing. At some point, it starts to get more personal and business related, right? If you're asking why the CEO wants to spend more time with his family, maybe it will go into sort of personal issues that have stemmed. Who knows? But you want to keep it business related, okay? So this is probably as far as I'd take it. Would someone be interested in generating more leads and more revenue without doing something that they don't want to sacrifice, right? So that's the message that we've basically come out with. Now, that's the hook that we can use, and we can start using that in our outreach, in our content, in our ads, in each of them. Instead of creating content just around why your sales manager needs to be replaced, or outreach around why your sales manager needs to be replaced, or the same for ads, you can start creating content around generating more sales, generating more revenue, spending more time with the things that matter to you. And then your unique mechanism, the way you do that is through the placement of the sales manager. That's your unique process. But what you'll notice is you're not marketing that unique process to everyone at the start. You're not throwing it in the face. What you're throwing is the end outcome, because that's what they're actually interested in. And what you'll start to notice is if you do this in your outreach, you do this in your content, and you do this in your ads, you're going to start getting more replies from your outreach. People will just genuinely be more interested in obviously generating revenue and generating leads and working less than just having their sales manager replaced. I know which message I would reply to. I'm sure you'd the same, right? In your content, you're also going to get more views, you're going to get more inbound leads because, once again, more people are interested in it. It just comes down to the fundamental. You can literally reframe your offer and reframe your whole sort of service in a way to make it more attractive on the front end. You're still doing the same thing in the back end. You're still placing the sales manager. You're still installing the insurance tech piece of whatever it is, or the software, right? But you need to make the front end more attractive to bring people in, because the truth is people only buy to achieve the outcome. They don't buy to work with you through your unique process. They buy to achieve the outcome. Okay. And then of course with ads, if you make this like claim and this offer, this headline more bold, more out there, more attractive, you're going to be getting lower cost per leads and more booked calls overall. So if you go through this system and create new sort of outreach messages, new ad hooks, new content, you'll see that you will get more interest. There's no way you don't, just because fundamentally it is more of interest to people, right? Now, the only difference here is depending on your service, is depending how you'd frame it, right? Obviously, this is an example for someone placing sales managers. It could be very different if you have a really unique offer. Like I'm actually working with someone one-to-one now who does carbon emissions reports. Okay, that's super niche, right? However, if you're just saying to someone, would you be interested in the carbon emissions report? They might say, nah, we don't need that. Or if you could be, but the thing is, these companies that we're reaching out to need this carbon emissions report to apply to work with the NHS. So you could say, would you be interested in signing big contracts with the NHS We've noticed that our clients who have produced this carbon emission report have had 37% more success in landing big 7-figure or 6-figure contracts with the NHS, right? That's how you can sort of frame it, because you're not taking the thing you're actually doing, which is the carbon emissions report, and selling it to them. You're selling them the outcome they want, the reason they would do the thing in the first place. And it's the same with these sales managers. You're not selling them the sales manager, you're selling them the reason they want to get the new sales manager, the increased leads, the increased revenue, and them not having to manage the sales team themselves. So effectively, this can work for every offer. It can work for every service. You just need to find that unique way, that unique angle to spin on it. Now, if you want more one-to-one help and you're not quite sure how to do this yourself, I'm happy to do it for you. Just use the link below and apply to work one-to-one directly with me. If not, no problem, but the link is there in the description if you do fancy a call with myself. If not, take care and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.